All right, Shalom. First off, give all praise to Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Makar Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS. Salutes and honors to the elect, all the brothers across the four corners who are enduring in truth and sincerity, and the women and children who follow. So I got an article out there, just surfing through RT.com. I just, thought this article was pretty relevant. So, here I am. So, it says, this is from RT.com, dated today. It says, EU to create special payment channels with Iran despite US sanctions. Okay? So if you've been paying attention, Iran wants to, have its uranium, its nuclear capabilities basically for clean energy. That's what they're saying, is for clean energy. And there's a sanction put on that country by the other countries around the world so that they don't basically weaponize it and use it as a nuclear weapon, okay, and shoot it on someone like those Jew rats over there. Okay, now the so-called US has dropped out of that trade agreement fully, but every other country that's still in the EU, they're still with it. They're still trying to make this deal. So that's why this is a big deal. Okay, just to give you a little background. Okay, it says European Union Foreign Affairs Chief Federica Mogherini says the EU signatories remain committed to the nuclear deal with Iran that the US has quit. The group is working to create special payment channels to do business with Iran. Okay, so if they're going to do business with Iran, that means you're going to buy oil. More than likely, they're not going to buy oil in American dollars. They might buy it in pounds. They might buy it in gold, in the Chinese yuan. Okay, the Russian ruble or the renminbi, or it could be the special drawing rights. The SDRs. So who knows? Only time is going to tell what currency they actually buy it in. Because like I said, the United States, they dropped out of the trade agreement. So, they don't have nothing to do with it. Okay, it says Mogherini read from a statement following a minstrel meeting of the remaining signatories of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Okay, the deal at the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. Okay, the statement by 5 nations, Russia, the UK, Germany, China, and France, confirms that Iran has been complete with this end of the agreement. So basically, you have those big countries, which Russia and China are, on the opposite side of the US, and the UK, Germany, and France, they're supposed to be on the same side as the US. Okay, but they're flipping script. All right, they're saying that these people ain't doing nothing wrong. Let them do what they do. Okay, with that in mind, it says the EU is working to create the means to continue doing business with Iran legally. At the time when the US is looking to stifle Tehran's oil exports with sanctions, aiming to ultimately bring them down to zero. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to break the country, because the whole Middle East stands up on oil. If you can take away that oil from them, they ain't got no other resources. And they would have to be compliant with whatever you tell them to do. Okay, so it says the U.S. exit from Iran nuclear deal in May drove a wedge between the Trump administration, and the U.S. allies over in Europe, who reaffirmed their commitment to the landmark agreement after unilaterally breaking off from the multi-party deal. The U.S. has been gradually reimposing sanctions that have been lifted under the agreement in return for Tehran's capping its nuclear program. The first round of sanctions kicked in August, to be followed by a second round in November. Ahead of the November 4th deadline, the U.S. has been pushing its allies to cut all business with Iran, threatening European companies with secondary sanctions. Okay, so the U.S. is actually threatening its own allies. Hey, if you don't stop making business with Iran, we're going to put sanctions on you too. Which I would like to see them put sanctions on the UK, on France, on Russia, on China. Go ahead and try. Okay? It's not going to do nothing. You're not going to win. They're not going to do it because they can't win that battle. Nobody goes into a battle that you know you can't win. All right, they ain't got you how about Shimmy Shai on their side. Okay, it says, in August, the European guarantors of the deal said that they were working on the preservation and maintenance of effective financial channels with Iran and the continuation of Iran's export of oil and gas. Okay, so they, at the end of the day, they like, well, we know we need these niggas. We need Iran for this oil and for this gas. So we don't want to, ruffle their feathers, too bad, so to speak. But what it is, Trump don't give no fuck, okay? He don't. He coming at him raw, okay? You don't want to restructure your deal? He said fuck you. He said he's going to put sanctions on you. He said he's going to shut you down, deflate your economy, do whatever it is he had to do. That's Trump's mindset, okay? But what we're going to do, this is a good article. I'm going to post it in the description. But we're going to get this scripture real quick. Because like I said, you have the EU on one side that's working with Iran, and you also have America on the other side, which is working against Iran. So I'm going to read this. This is Obadiah chapter 1 verse 7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. Okay. Thy confederacy, let's get this word confederacy for edification's sake.
Strong's H1285. Berith.
All right, so it says a covenant, an alliance, a pledge between men, a treaty, alliance, a league, man to man, a constitutional ordinance, an agreement, a pledge. Okay, so it's talking about an agreement. All the men of the agreement have brought thee even to the border. What's that agreement? That agreement is NATO. Okay, that agreement is the EU. Okay, that's the agreement that they're in, that if one country goes to war, all the countries go to war. Okay. It's like, yeah, I gotta forgive me. I'm kind of running on E right now. I gotta get this done, though. All right, it says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. Okay? Because at one time, the NATO and the EU prospered. Okay? They were at peace with each other. Okay? But now that America is doing this fuck shit, for lack of a better term. Okay, you have these European countries that are, siding with the other side. They're like, no, that's not right. Okay, they've been doing what they're supposed to do. Just let it ride. But, Trump wants to be so greedy, just like an Edomite. He wants everything done his way. He broke off. But the other countries like, look, we need them. We're getting a lot of our export in gas. If we break off this deal, it's going to literally hurt our economy. It's going to hurt our people. But really, America ain't got to worry about that because America actually produces way more gas than it reports. All right, out there in California, you have fake oil rigs. It might look like a building or something like that, but it's really an oil rig built around it because they're trying to suppress the actual number of how abundant America really is in oil, should I say. You got it down there in Texas as well. But it says, all the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. Okay, they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. All right, because America, the EU, NATO, they were all eating together. Okay, that's a figure of speech when it says all they that eat thy bread. Okay, when you sit down with your family or your friends, your partners or whatnot, what you call it? You call it breaking bread. All right, when we teach the scriptures, what we call it? We call it breaking bread. So the term breaking bread is just basically a term of endearment between two parties, between two friends. All right, so all the that so they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. Okay, so that wound is coming. Trump said that they were going to place sanctions on those countries who dealing with Iran. Okay, so their cars are going to go up, their foods, their water, their goods, their services. Matter of fact, I got a precept right here. This is Sirach chapter 29, verse 21. It says, "The chief thing for life is water, and bread, and clothing, and a house to cover shame." Okay, so all that's gonna go up. Those are the principal things of life: water, bread, and a house. Okay, so if they put these sanctions on Iran and you live in the EU, you're gonna be directly affected at the pump. It's a fact. You're gonna have to pay more at the pump, literally, which is gonna affect the water, which is gonna affect how much food that you're eating. It's called a famine. Look at Venezuela. Venezuela is a oil rich country, and it's freaking broke and going through hyperinflation right now. It's possible. Okay, the Most High algorithm is pumping full in effect. Okay, it says there is none understanding in him, and that him is talking about the so-called white man. Okay, mainly here in America. All right, you can't teach him that. You can't change his mind. All right, the Most High has his mind seared with a hot iron that he is gonna do what he does, and that's him being the devil, and that's the one thing you can count on. So, with that being said, I hope you brothers were caught up with the whole situation here, dealing with the nuclear program in Iran, amongst many other things. But I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Makar Kadash, double honor to the apostles and the elders of GMS, salutes and honors to the elect, all the brothers across the four corners who are enduring in truth and sincerity, and the women and children who follow. Shalom.